And here we are.
All
What is
all of a
up?
sudden, Chrome wants me to use Gemini. I don't know why right now it chose to do that. Hello there, everyone.
Don't
I
use
don't.
Gemini. I don't. It's kind of annoying with the way the website they're always prodding us to use their AI. I'm
I
using
was
your AI.
just using DuckDuckGo's AI to figure out what wires I was supposed to splice to get my tractor going, but I don't want to try it, especially
Right.
not with the part coming.
Hmm.
But I also don't want to kill myself shoveling. So.
Hmm. I finally figured out how to create trance a trance music track with the music AI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it was giving me like 3 minute songs. Trance music is supposed to go on for 13 minutes, not three, but that thing's limited to 8. So I got something with 5 minutes 50, which is close enough to commercial trance. So it's working now. That thing's real good for Donald Rex. It's here. Hi, Donald.
Hello there.
Yeah. The thing is real good for me to produce break beats. And I did a couple of instrumental blues tracks. But I wanted to do house and trance, and that thing is geared towards radio edits, and I hate that. As an artist, what is your stance on using AI for arts that are not yours?
It gives me a headache.
I'm not a musician. I'm not a musician. I can make music on the AI. No.
I mean, if you're using it just for fun, I don't see why not.
Yeah, here's the thing. The thing that I'm making, it's obviously derivative.
Yeah.
And I'm not really making anything in it.
Yeah, you're just playing around with it.
Yeah,
but it's like the reason AI gives me a headache is cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
I really expect it to be terrible, but it's not, and it really hurts my head because like I've messed around running some of my stuff through AI or just writing prompts to make art out of AI. And it does a better job than, like I said, it hurts my head because it does a better job than I think it will. And since it's stealing from popular stuff already, the stuff it makes, the stuff I can make with AI would probably be more popular than the stuff I make without it, kind of thing. So it's just like, oh man, that hurts. I haven't messed with it in a little while. Yeah. But it's also expensive if you want to actually dive into, like, I think I was messing with Gemini. That's the Google's one, but you can make like 4 pictures a day or something before it wants to charge you. So it's just like, you make 4 pictures, and then I lose interest. Right. So there's that too. But I like how I saw an article this week on how Art Germ has to keep proving to people that he's not using AI. Mm-hmm. And I think because that type of style he has is really easy for AI to steal. That sort of gradation, that pseudo-realistic, everything, gradation, shadows, and this and that is easy. Anything that uses a formula to be made, and I don't mean a formula in a bad sense, but there's just a certain way you do stuff like that. And that stuff, if there's a formula, it's real easy for AI to copy. Mm-hmm. And that's why he keeps having to prove his stuff isn't AI, because probably AI, stole plenty of his stuff.
Yeah. I did something with extra comic book style, and it gave me Stefano Della Torre. It's obviously Stefano Della Torre.
Wow. That's like the one I had was like anime and manga style. And that's just so easy to rip off because there's a formula for it and there's so much of it. So AI can figure out how to do that stuff like real easy. But it can't figure out how to do Guernica.
Nope.
because there's not a lot of stuff like that.
No, I asked that thing to make the Mona Lisa, which is supposedly in the public domain, so you can
Right.
use it. But it doesn't make you the Mona Lisa. It makes you something else that's really weird.
Like it's all writing too, using prompt. It's all I read someone say once that artists better use to learn to use AI, or writers will have all the jobs. And that's true, because like writing prompts for visual AI, it's all writing. It's like it's not art talent, it's writing talent. It's being able to tell them exactly what you want.
Yeah. And it's not like the English majors. The English majors are gonna have the worst time trying to figure out. You have to be practical and direct and figure out exactly the order that you have to type things in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the more instructions you give to AI, the more confused it becomes, because it doesn't know what exactly do you want and when.
Yeah. There's ways to code. Though now with vibe coding, supposedly it's all different, but I don't even know what vibe coding is. I think it's just telling. It's mostly used in the coding world. Like
Eric,
90%. Hello there.
Hey, Eric.
Like I'm told like 80-90% of coding is now vibe coding, which I think is just telling AI what you want and it writes the code. So you're not figuring out any of the actual code.
Yeah, I did an HTML course, and it was a fast one. Oh, you're gonna have to use the AI to create the code, which of course makes sense, because I don't want to waste a day thinking about all the CSS stuff, the cascading style sheets, and yeah, it's boring.
Yeah.
So I just tell, okay, the website must have the title here, and the text goes here, and the image goes here, and it's supposed to have this background color. There, done. And it works.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Really good comics this week?
Yeah, I'm almost done rereading The Invisibles, so I'm already on the last volume.
How many issues did that run?
So 25 plus 22 plus 12.
Okay. A goodly amount.
Mm-hmm. Because remember, the first volume of The Invisibles was too British, and people didn't get it.
Okay.
So
I didn't realize there was more than one volume. I thought it was all one volume.
The second volume is all set in America, and the artist was Phil Jimenez on practically every issue.
So now Derek it looks like Robertson drew the original one. Was that it?
No, that was in Transmetropolitan. No.
Oh, okay.
There's a bunch of British artists working on volume 1. Then it's mostly Phil Jimenez on volume 2, but they're the Vertigo types that come from 2000 AD instead of the ones that come from Marvel UK.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks too British and sounds. It's set in Britain, looks British, sounds British, and people didn't get it. So Morrison made sure that volume 2 looked as much as possible as a superhero comic without being one. And by volume 3, when volume 3 hit, he was already famous because he'd already done JLA, so it didn't really matter. So what he did was volume 3 goes backwards, 12 to 1.
Oh, right.
And here's the thing: I'm trying to figure out if there's a correct way of reading things, because I tend to approach this type of material as if it's an adventure story, because you have conflict, and the characters have objectives. So I think of it as an adventure story, even though the main point is to get into all the crazy, weird stuff that Morrison writes.
I think that's why I was just writing about this. Why I read my comics twice before filing them away, and how oftentimes, like even when what did I talk about earlier this year? All of a sudden, I can't remember the name of that new Charles Burns book.
No, the new one. I don't know.
The one that came out last year came out in France first.
Mm.
That I can't remember the name of for some reason. I got it. It came out in the US like in 2025, and I got it in early 2025 and read it. And then I read it again a month or two ago. And I liked it a lot better the second time around because I think what happens, and this is just how how people read stuff. The first time through, you're really caught up in what's going to happen. You know, the plot. Ooh, what happens next? What's going to happen? That sometimes I miss some of the more subtle stuff that's going on. So that second time through, kind of when I already know the plot, I can see all the, other stuff going on around.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's probably that way reading Grant Morrison's Invisibles too. Like you get caught up in the adventure strip aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you don't necessarily get into all the weirdness.
Well, the weirdness was present the first time I read it, especially because it is still on.
But you don't notice all that stuff the first time through.
Oh no, you do, because it is still on Doom Patrol style when he starts doing the Invisibles.
So it's straight up weird.
Yeah, but you'll remember that at the time that he complained that the comic was in the risk of getting canceled, so he had the idea of the wankathon, where you were supposed to masturbate over the copy of the comic and create chaos and create magic that would make the comic more popular. But what he did was turn Volume 2 into more of a superhero comic, and there's more explosions, and it's set in America. And a lot of the characters that appear in Volume 1 don't appear at all in Volume 2. So we have 2 years of waiting to know what happens to Mr. Six and Sir Miles. And so Volume 1 is Volume 2 is all the bad guy is Mr. Quimper, as well as the general in Area 51. But the first one does have a lot of weirdness, especially the first arc, is where when Morrison's introducing all the characters, and everyone's having and the POV character who is Jack. Jack is the new guy, so he's going through all of these hallucinations. He doesn't know what's real, and in the end, Morrison ends up leaning into it when he tries to explain everything in volume 3, because things are not a lot of things that you thought were straightforward are not. I guess that's why people come. There's all the comparison with Matrix, and yeah, I can see the why people would make the comparison. The thing is, Morrison is reads a lot of weird stuff and takes drugs, and the Wachowski brothers don't.
Did you read? I read it last year. A Nice House on the Lake, I think was the name of it.
No.
That's one I read last year. Just reminded me saying weird stuff happens. That was one that it was probably if it was a TV show, they'd call it a mystery box show.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was this story of, I think, DC or Vertigo or something. No, it wasn't Vertigo. It might have been Black Label. I don't know. It came from DC. I can't remember. Was James Tinney the writer? I can't even remember. Maybe. It was well done, but ended annoyingly because the story, once again, a mystery story about these, I don't know, dozen people who were gathered in a nice house on a lake. And it turns out someone brought them all there. They all had certain jobs or skills or whatever. And the world had ended. Or so you think. I mean, that was what we were told. Who knows? So it was just these people were like the last people left on Earth or something due to aliens. I don't. And then the whole, like, it was like a 10 or 12 issue series was them kind of dealing with that and finding out that, like, one of their friends was an alien of the alien race who, I don't know, destroyed the Earth or whatever. And he was gathering them. They were all living in this. But then you never found out anything at the end of volume 1. You never found out what the mystery box, what was in the mystery box. You didn't know any much more than when it started. Then they're like, oh, there's going to be, a season 2 or whatever they called it, another series. Then the next series, they brought in a whole new cast. I was like, come on, if you're going to give me a weird mystery story, you can't just start all over. So I don't know whatever happened with that one, but that was another weird one that was just like, you can't just be weird for weird's sake and not give us anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think there's a third volume coming out.
Okay. Yeah. One thing that I did notice is how much Warren Ellis cribbed from The Invisibles to do Transmetropolitan.
Okay.
Because there's a scene in a planetary where there's an issue where it's all about vertigo. And the character that is the Constantine stand-in, at the end of the story, he turns into Spider Jerusalem. So it's Warren Ellis saying that now I'm taking over from Alan Moore. But in Transmetropolitan, when Spider Jerusalem is introduced, he's all hairy with a big beard like Alan Moore. And when he comes back to the city, he becomes all completely bald, like Grant Morrison. And King Mob is Grant Morrison's self-insert in Invisibles, where he gets to pretend he's all cool and shooting guns and sleeping with everybody. And there's even a scene in one issue of The Invisibles where where King Mob and somebody else are on the park with Ragged Robin. They're in the park talking, and there's a similar scene in Transmetropolitan where Spider Jerusalem is talking to one of his assistants, and you see the pigeons there, but while King Mob just walks away, Spider flicks a cigarette at a pigeon, and it hits the pigeon in the head, and the pigeon dies. So I think that Ellis was always the third tier when compared to Morrison and Moore.
Yeah,
because Morrison and Moore were rivals, and they have slightly different styles. Although each one complains that the other one is always copying him.
Ellis was just kind of doing his own thing.
Well, Ellis is there were for many years he pretended that, I don't like superheroes because I'm British and we British don't like superheroes. But that's not true, because he always goes back to doing superheroes and he likes them. And I guess that doing something at Vertigo, he wanted to prove that he was not a superhero writer, that he was as worthy of having the cool British vibe that Alan Moore and Grant Morrison had.
Want to take a trip back to 1982?
Mm-hmm.
This week's Eclipse magazine.
Yes.
With a cover by Mike Kaluta.
That's number 5.
And inside we have I Am Coyote continues, Englehart and Rogers, The Hitchhiker by Billy Graham, Kon-Tiki by Hunt Emerson, Among the Scarabaei by Michael Kaluta, Down the Drain by Eaton Ronker, Dope Pipe Dreams by Trina Robbins, Ragamuffins, McGregor and Colin, and Ms. Tree, The Last to Know by Max Allan Collins continues. But I have to say the artwork in it is good. Coyote is finally making some sense. Story-wise, it's coming together, because it was kind of a loosey-goosey the first few issues. And then, what is this? This is Hitchhiker by Don McGregor. Not Don McGregor, by Billy Graham. And I got to say, Billy Graham isn't that good a writer. Ooh, I could barely make it through. the writing in this. I just started looking at the pictures because the pictures were fine and told the story. I was like, ooh, no wonder Billy Graham didn't write much. And the same goes for Michael Kaluta, who did this. This is his, right? Yeah. Among the another one, Michael Kaluta, not usually a writer, love his art, but could not make it through his writing. And it didn't help that it was done Prince Valiant style. He obviously is a Prince Valiant fan, and I am not. I don't like that Prince Valiant style writing where you have the pictures and the captions.
I don't mind as long as it's readable. No, I don't think most writers can pull it off.
Yeah,
because the placement of the word balloons helps follow the story, and if you have
Trina
everything
Robbins'
in the caption,
Dope was really good, and of course Ms. Tree was really good. But it's funny though, the one that really I was diving down the rabbit hole was this one pager. Where is it? Oh, this one was pretty good too. Hunt Emerson did more Kon-Tiki here. That was a good the few pages of it. That was fun. About a bunch of guys on a raft. Where is that one page?
Oh yeah, of course, Kon-Tiki. That makes sense.
Yep. Who was that? Thor Heyerdahl?
Yeah, because he named the raft after the Inca god Kon-Tiki to prove that it was possible that the Polynesia was settled by immigrants from South America. And while it is possible, and there is proof that there was contact, the Polynesians actually came from Taiwan.
Here's Down the Drain, a one-page autobiographical strip about and I found out later he went to School of Visual Arts for 4 years, and then he was doing mechanicals and paste up. So he was doing production work out of college, and he's just like, oh my God, I have to get up and do this. Somebody kill me. Which is pretty much what a lot of us said back when we were doing production work. Good morning. Hurry up, it's late. You'll never get in time. I'm done. And it's a big spiral of him doing the same thing. What a dull, meaningless existence. Why do I even bother? I can't even live on the money this dumb job pays. I can't even live on the money. I got to read that. But that was actually, it was interesting because in the back, they give the little biography. And that was done by someone I had never heard of before. Etienne, Eytan is his first name. And then Ronker, Wronker. It says, was born and still lives in New York City, where he works as a paste-up artist. He claims this issue's Down the Drain tells all there is to know about him, and he encourages others who are depressed as he is to call him. His number's in the phone book. And I actually looked him up online, and he's still out there. He's listed himself as like an independent publishing guy kind of thing. I guess he's still doing production work and stuff.
Yeah,
and he's got some of his artwork around, out there. But I was just amazed to be able to look up some random guy from 1982 who did one page, a page that really spoke to me because I was a paste up artist. I know the drudgery of it.
Yeah, the guy had a one page in an issue of Crazy magazine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
that was in 1977.
I was like, just some guy trying to make it as a cartoonist, never really did, but had a couple of things. And
there's a comic made by the School of Visual Arts, and he has a 3-pager there as well. Yeah,
he's got a couple of animations on YouTube that he did in high school. That was that like 100 people have looked at in 10 years. But I really enjoyed that one-page strip he did. And it was fun to look up, who he was. He's on LinkedIn too, I think.
Right. Yeah, that reminds me of when I found another of these anthology indie anthology comics from the late 70s, early 80s. There was a guy there called Bill Maher.
Oh yeah,
but it's Bill with only one L.
Mm-hmm.
And he did go into animation after he did comics, and he was more successful in animation because he's a good 3D artist, and he comes up with he programs the machines to create the 3D the 3D environment. So it's actually very sought after. He's done things at Disney and the other sister companies.
That guy had such a unique name too. I figured he must be easy to find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ethan Runker. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle, what's up? How you doing?
Hello there. Love all yeah. Eclipse. I'm rereading these for the first time since 1982, so it's kind of wild. Just stepping into a time machine.
Yeah, one thing you can see from Dean Mullaney is that I don't think there was a publishing plan for Eclipse at the beginning.
No,
they said, okay, let's just do a magazine, and some of our friends will.
I said, he was like, I know some talented people. We can put out a magazine. I think that was about the plan.
Mm-hmm. And then they got some of the stuff from Pacific and Capital, like First Comics did, and
right.
Let's do more comics.
Was in there Mike Kaluta, Marshall Rogers, Gene Colan. Those are some pretty good names in the early 80s.
Finished my 1917 Chaplin 5-book Donahue set. What's that? That sounds interesting.
I have no idea. I know what all those words mean, but I don't know what they mean together.
Yeah, that does sound interesting. Wilson's here.
Hello there, Wilson.
Hello.
What's up?
Getting prepared for the big storm?
As much as I could.
Yeah.
Because, again, New York, I don't really know what it's going to be. So,
And you got nowhere to go.
Yeah, I got I'm going to do the same exact thing I was going to do before and after the snow. I was going to work over the weekend.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what comics did you guys buy this week?
I got 10 comics at my LCS. We'll start with, did you make it to the store, Wilson?
I did not. But I could tell you what 2 books I didn't pick up because they're going to be waiting for me at the store. And it's a Spider-Man book and a Godzilla book. At least I know what's coming. But next week is a big week because I think there's going to be at least over 5 books.
Platinum Age Charlie Chaplin comic book set. Oh, there was a Chaplin comic book. All right.
I did not know that.
Wasn't aware of that.
This was a really good read this week.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Power Fantasy number 15. He said he was going to end it at 16, but I think they're going on. And I could see how they were going to end it next issue. Because this is the one that's about superheroes trying not to fight. They're so powerful that millions of people die if they fight. A matter of fact, Europe is gone in this universe because it turns out they finally explain exactly what happened in this issue. Because there was this some kind of super powerful alien or something who came to Earth, and they called it the Summer of Love 1988 or whatever, because if you went around her, you were in love, everything was peaceful, everything was great. But then somehow she decided she wanted to do something and ended up opening a gateway to hell. Whoops.
As one does.
And they met someone, and Europe got and in stopping her and closing the gateway, Europe got completely destroyed. It's just gone. Matter of fact, we found out the Vatican is now in Morocco, did they say? No, or Ethiopia. There's also an angel who is there to make sure humans do okay. But no one quite knows where God is and what God's up to, but they know. So what's happened in this issue, like I said, there was one guy keeping the peace between all of these superheroes, superpowered people. And a couple of issues ago, the one guy, the Heavy, killed him for whatever he killed him for. So now the guy who keeps the peace is gone. But it turns out because he was the main psychic of the whole world. He could do all sorts of things. It turns out the woman who helped defeat the alien who'd opened the gate to hell, he put post-hypnotic suggestions in her mind to keep her from seeing hell anymore because she was traumatized by hell. Having to go there and shut it, and all things happened. But now what's happened is this woman now thinks she's talking to God, and she knows she's going to hell when she dies. So she's somehow now opening the gate to hell again. So they're trying to stop her from opening the gate to hell, and they're not having an easy time with it. But it's just this elaborate plot that's coming together in a very nice way. But it's a lot of fun. It's who is it? Kieran Gillen is the writer, and Casper Wingard is the artist, with Clayton Cowles on coloring and Ryan Hughes on letters. But the whole thing, I think he's going beyond issue 16 now. But you can see how it would have ended probably with the world ending in issue 16 as the gate to hell opens up. Because like, she gave the world 6 more months.
Cal says he shared the short with those Charlie Chaplin comics on YouTube, so check it out. Grandson Spencer Zed Eugene, Charlie's youngest son. All right.
Okay.
The Charlie Chaplin strip was done by Seeger. Yeah. I found it here in the Grand Comics database. Those comics are in the database.
Was it a strip?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the comics reprint the strip.
I'm so far behind. Maybe I can catch up. Yeah, do it. I mean, it's been really good.
Seeger's first professional work began in Chaplin's Comic Capers, the newspaper strip, in 1915. Those stories then being bound into those later comics. They're here in the Grand Comics. So the Grand Comics database has 5 comics. One is not indexed. So Charlie Chaplin in the Army, Charlie Chaplin in the movies, Charlie Chaplin Up in the Air, Charlie Chaplin's Comic Capers, and Charlie Chaplin's Funny Stunts.
When were the comics put out?
1917.
Okay. I mean, not the original strips. The comics, the collections came out in 1917?
Yeah, because it was not a new thing in 1931 when Eastern Color started doing that. It already existed before that. It just wasn't a thing, an industry specifically for comics.
Right.
There were comics, and they would find them in books.
Collections of strips, just like there are now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like there are now.
There were around this time there were 2 competing strips with the Wizards of Oz, because the writer was the first one to do a strip, but he didn't have the rights to the illustrations inside the book. The illustrations belong to the artist. They were copyrighted by the artist, and L. Frank Baum had a falling out with the guy. So, but since the guy still had rights, he created his own Oz strip, and they ran concurrently in the beginning of the 20th century. And from what I can tell, those Oz strips are the first use of a property license from another medium to make it to comics.
Here's a question I got.
Now that that's all here.
Hello there.
Well, your prime minister is no longer a part of the coalition of peace or whatever.
He got kicked out.
Yeah. In the Tit Goblin, he has to tell us if he liked the Portuguese wine that he showed me.
Think of like great comic strips, however you classify that. Do you think anyone, since he just died recently, classifies Dilbert as a great comic strip?
Yes. Dilbert is famous internationally.
Okay. Because I don't know, because it's not one I like, and I never really think about it.
It doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a consensual comic strip. Maybe Peanuts.
Yeah.
But
I would say that like Peanuts, Doonesbury, there are some ones that are but I wouldn't think something like Garfield would be considered great.
Successful. But it is famous internationally. And Doonesbury is not.
I'm just separating famous from great.
Right. Okay.
If we were to say great in terms of, they'll be reading this strip for generations.
Well, they are reading Garfield for generations. They're not reading Doonesbury for.
I think Doonesbury will be read beyond Gary Trudeau. I think Garfield will be a commercial property long into the future, but I don't know if anybody will consider it great. It's a great commercial property. But I don't know if it's a great comic strip. I'm kind of separating those two ideas. Like the
do you think Nancy is a great comic strip?
I do not, but a lot of people seem to.
Yeah.
A lot of people really seem to. Actually, I do know why. They explain it all the time. I just read a book about it, 3 Rocks. People who think Nancy is a great comic strip are pop culture people who also like its stripped down nature. The idea that Ernie Bushmuller?
Yeah.
Stripped a comic book down to its most basic parts. Which is something that, people like the intelligentsia like. And I could see Nancy at times being great. Like you can find great Nancy comic strips, but they don't offer you like insight into the human condition. They offer you insight into making a comic strip. So it's a tough. Do you think Nancy is great?
What I found interesting about Nancy is that it picked up a whole new generation of readers after being forgotten for a while, just because of the internet memes.
Oh, it's done that a couple of times.
Yeah. But it's not something that happens a lot. I mean,
no.
One of the things that kept Garfield in the public eye was not really. Garfield minus Garfield is not that famous. Yeah. But it is interesting.
Right.
But Nancy was out of the public eye for a while. Then they did that Sluggo is lit. Used it as a meme, and all of us now everybody's remixing Nancy strips.
I think that's because Nancy is so simple.
Yeah,
Nancy is so simple and distilled down that you can make memes out of it. Mutz is pretty great. Nancy is iconic.
Dilbert the cartoon was great, and Kyle likes Bloom County was the best comic strip. Mm-hmm.
Bloom County was good. I enjoyed that one for a while.
Yeah,
the only coalition next.
Sorry,
Wilson for world leader. You got my vote. Jim Davis is from right up the road here in Indiana. The Garfield Museum is here too. The thing is, I kind of get annoyed each time I read too many Garfield strips.
Yeah,
but
Garfield isn't great, but it's famous and well known.
Yeah,
successful. I mean, you can have a successful cartoon without it being great in terms of artistically, let's say. The art of the cartoon. I mean, how many comic strips do we know from 100 years ago? Not a lot.
Right.
And something could have been really, really, really popular in 1926, but we wouldn't know. We know Gasoline Alley.
Yep.
Yeah, and then some of those older strips are hard to read.
Yeah, who remembers Mutt and Jeff?
I'm aware of Mutt and Jeff.
Yeah,
but I think it was everywhere.
Called Mutt and Jeff. Me and my brothers are called that. So from my dad, because that's what he read.
Right.
So, Popeye is easier to read than the strip he debuted in. Thumbelina or something like that. And Garfield, I enjoyed it when I was a kid. That's when I found it funny. As I grew up and grew older, it's like, I'll read it. Some are hits, a lot of them are misses.
Right. It's not bad or anything. It's just I don't think of the great works of comic strip art, I don't think anyone's putting Garfield up there. Right. People are putting Nancy up there.
I think once it transcends from the comic strip and it can be on its own thing in different media, Peanuts does that.
Yeah. But Peanuts also would be a great strip, I think, even without all the other stuff.
Yes, it definitely would be. But the fact Peanuts that it survived outside of it,
famous and successful as it is great.
Right. I don't know if too many of them has done that. No. Now, Dilbert, I enjoyed when I was reading it because it was office humor. So that works for a while. But eventually I just stopped reading them. Yeah. Every once in a while, because I don't really get the newspaper and I don't visit any website that has comic strips in it. Right. When I occasionally do run into a newspaper and I'm looking through, I look at the comics. But again, a lot of them are hit and misses. But that's again, that's for me.
You guys are always making fun that I like the Phantom.
Oh no, I have a great respect for the Phantom.
Yeah, Kyle says he has an original Opus drawing from Burke Breed. I don't know what that is.
Opus is a character from, not Bloomsbury. Sorry, the other one.
Bloom County.
Bloom County.
Okay.
Breathed, it said, right?
Opus is the it's the penguin.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
That's the penguin character. So he has an original.
We've got a Heathcliff stand here. Look at that.
In Kyle has the first Mutt and Jeff comic from 1910. Because I've had Kyle on a few times, and I'm always jealous of Kyle's collection, especially because it's not a typical comic collection. Kyle goes after these things that, well, not obscure at the time, are more obscure now. So
right,
he's not following trends. He's really interested in the history of the medium. And
Mutt and Jeff from 1910, perfect example.
Brown is by Palmer Cox. Precursors and all started in 1883. Right.
Wow.
I recently recycled the letter from the editor of Stars and Stripes to my uncle about them dropping poo due to the old author having passed away. I don't know that anyone under 5 recalls Pogo.
Yeah.
Pogo's cute, I guess.
Pogo was a good strip. That was Pogo was generally when I was young, say high school, Pogo was considered a masterpiece among comic strips. Mm-hmm. That was definitely one of the ones that was a masterpiece. All sorts of Pogo fans print. I have a couple of Pogo books, but I don't think it's. There's probably people who consider it a masterpiece still, but you don't hear about Pogo much.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is the set of pictures that Kyle sent me with the Chaplin comic. Yeah.
Wow, look at those.
Let me see if I can. Yeah, and their landscape.
Some Pogoisms live on, though, like we have met the enemy and he is us. That's a quote from Pogo that still lives on. I think there's a few others, but I can't think of them at the moment.
We have Sadie Hawkins' Day is from a comic strip, isn't it?
Little Abner, right?
Oh, Little Abner.
These Chaplin comics look really well preserved.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell that it's missing a little chunk of the corner here, but otherwise, it's very clean.
They look nice.
Here's one.
And that's E.C. Segar.
Yeah.
Unless he signed his name, not necessarily how he said it.
It's a nice collection of Charlie Chaplin material. Yeah. It's cool.
Nice.
I have the Selby Kelly signed Pogo lithograph. Okay, here's the thing. Kyle can stay here all night and tell us about things that he has, and it's all interesting. Yeah, this is amazing.
Want to see something new? Pogo, anyone under 50.
Yeah, right. Damn keyboard, that's right. The upper right corner in that 1916 picture book, the first licensed book in the bond, is an intern 1925 collected volume of all the funny Wonder Weeklies put together by the British Library. All right.
This is the 5th and final issue of Everything Dead and Dying by, who's the writer? Tate Bromball is the writer. Artwork by Jacob Phillips. Colors by Pip Martin. Letters by Aditya Bidikar. And this is the one that's a zombie story. It's about a guy who was the last one left alive in his town, but he was a farmer and he just kept feeding the zombies so they didn't turn violent. They just kept living the last day of their life over and over again. But then a group of people, other survivors, came up to the town and chaos ensued. And this was, I got to say, this was a really, there he is with his daughter and his husband, who both were zombies. And he just kept, feeding them and living his life with them. But of course, the people, there's his zombie daughter. But of course, the people were just horrified that he was doing that. And he was like, "You're killing my family. Stop it." It was a really, really poignant comic, very emotional, because they were flashing back to the people in the town and his family and what he meant to them. And now they were all zombies and these people were killing them. And it's just, I got to say, there's a lot of dying from zombies in this issue. I gotta say, this is probably one of the most emotional comics I've read in a while. It's just really good stuff. And Jacob Phillips has something coming out from Vertigo that I might look at. I like his. This is the first Jacob Phillips series I've liked the writing on, so I bought the whole thing. I've been waiting for one because I like his artwork. You could tell he learned a lot from his dad, Sean Phillips.
Kyle asks, is the last guy surviving named Rob?
Bidikar. There's a name for you. But that was good comic. We got to say, a lot of good. Wasn't it? Was it last week or the week before? I had like 6 A's, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a lot." Not quite close to that, but we had some good ones this week. Some good comics. There are a lot. For those of you who say there's no good comics out there, there are plenty.
Yeah.
That one was really good. Really, really good.
Now, even though I didn't get any comics at the comic book shop, I did get comic-related items, such as I got 10 short boxes.
Oh, that's right. I saw your TikTok. 10 short boxes.
10 short boxes from Bags Unlimited.
That's going to take up some room.
That is. I already have 3 boxes have been filled with just the comics that I have in this room. And I could probably fill up another 2 boxes. I also want to replace some old boxes.
Okay.
Because I have a few that are either don't have their top anymore because I move things around so many times. It gets crushed or something. And I have some boxes that, I've had for decades where it's like, I gotta replace this one because it is falling apart.
The best comic book boxes I have are these small gray ones that are made of acid-free cardboard that I bought in the 1980s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they're still perfect. They're still, a couple of them are falling apart a little bit. I taped them together, but it's just, they're acid-free cardboard, so they're absolutely in great shape.
Oh, nice.
It's amazing. I'm like, I wish I bought more. And they were only around like in the 80s, and they were expensive. They were something like $10 a box or something like that.
Wow.
But I said to myself, you know what? If I buy these, I won't have to buy them again. And who, that was like 22-year-old Jared saying that. So it's amazing that 59-year-old Jared still has those same boxes. I was right way back then. It's like, wow.
Very nice. I've only ever got the white boxes. I started with the long boxes, learned right away not to have those anymore.
Oh,
Learned that in the comic book shop. When it's like, once you start moving these boxes around, it's like, oh, I'm switching to short boxes.
I learned that when I was 18 from a guy who's probably 40 saying, don't buy any long boxes. They'll break your back eventually. You're young now, but they'll break your back eventually. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to this guy.
Yep. Every time people ask me about, what do you get supplies-wise? Like short boxes are the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And even moving to short boxes, it gets to a point like, well, these are heavy. These weigh quite a bit. And so I only stay with those. I've looked into getting the kind that like you could build like shelves with. But all you're really doing is just pulling the cardboard out.
Right.
Like, without the top, and it's this shell. It looks nice, but it just seems a little too expensive. And I feel like I'm losing out not having a top on those.
Well, the shelf becomes the top. My friend got them. They're pretty good.
This Goblin got 3 mystery bags today at his shop. 20 comics for $5. The only way you can afford comics is
yeah.
I'm always tempted by those mystery bags. Then I'm like, I'd rather buy a comic I want.
Yeah, because again, the mystery bags to me, it's like, oh, these are the books that wouldn't move anywhere.
Yeah.
So you slap mystery on it.
I'd be okay with them if I was 22.
Yeah.
If I was young and didn't have a lot of stuff. And the mystery bags, of course, are going to have a lot of Marvel and DC stuff I don't like in there probably too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's but every now and then I'm go, maybe I should get this mystery bag.
My old long boxes now sit folded underneath my short boxes to pad them off the floor.
My LCS owner Roy just got this collection in. Was it the guy who did the long boxes?
That's smart. The guy who said the short box is a genius. Yeah.
He got this collection in. And the guy had these. Oh, I lost my little ring. Go find it. The guy had these plastic long boxes. I don't know if you've seen them before. They weren't quite long boxes. They were a little shorter than that. But they were plastic and they folded down. They were like $75 a box. And Roy was like, I don't want to buy the comics that much, but I'll sell the boxes on commission for you if you want. But I'm like, but he was one of the. Once again, I asked Roy, I was like, how long has this guy been collecting? Just because guy was selling his collection for whatever reason. Roy was like, 4 or 5. I think he said he may have started collecting during COVID. And I'm like, you know what? That seems to be about the time. We've discussed this before, especially people on YouTube. New people come in, they're around for 3-4 years, and then they're gone. That seems to be about the time people collect comics for these days. I don't know how far, but I think that also has to do with, and I see like on TikTok, new collectors all the time showing, young, saying, I got this, I got that, I got the new thing. I'm a new collector, and I'm like, I think like today's way of collecting can burn people out quickly.
Yeah.
Because people are buying, because comics are $4 or $5 a pop, and people are buying extra issues of covers they like. And I don't begrudge anyone buying extra copies of a cover that of an alternate cover, but I just know with the new people it's going to burn them out, because you all of a sudden you look back on your collection and a quarter of it you can't read. You're like, oh, what did I get those for?
Yeah.
So I just wonder, if that, like, was this guy one of those who had lots of, though I know he had a lot of like small press and indie stuff, because Roy was like, yeah, he's got like a lot of the stuff you buy, which means I can't sell it.
The Goblin says his shop is good, overstocked, but it's stuff that's popular and sold. Lots of independent choices. Separate them into Marvel, DC, independent.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be much more likely to buy an indie mystery bag, but I'd probably also be much more likely to have the stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is, since you can't really enjoy a single issue comic in the mainstream series, because they're always a part of something, it's hard. It becomes harder to justify keep buying the issues if you can enjoy them individually.
Found it. Now that I'm done distracting you.
All the people on TikTok this week had all the Rogue #1s.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. Yeah, that came a lot. Once again, a lot of nice covers of Rogue #1. If Pretty Woman Standing There covers. So, but I did. Who was even? I didn't even see who was doing Rogue #1 somehow.
Yeah. Kyle gave away 4 long boxes plus of comic books to his grandnephew a couple of years back. It was a small collection. Stuff going back to 1881.
Wow.
83, Super Spidey Treasure. All right.
Oh, you stuffed the Treasury Edition into a long box? That's just wrong. Yeah, they just came out with a facsimile of the Spidey Superman Treasury Edition. I think it came out last week, maybe?
I think it did.
I enjoyed that one when I first read it way back when. I think did you guys read that one when you were younger, or?
No, I read that as a reprint later on, because I never
read
had
the second one.
Edition.
Ah.
And the second one, I read that in that was reprinting like a small pocketbook size book.
I barely remember the second one.
Second one, it has Wonder Woman on the cover, I believe. And the villains are Doctor Doom and Parasite.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I absolutely loved the showing you the process of making the cover. Because that, you never got to see stuff like that in comics. That was so cool to see the sketches and the changes in the sketches until the final version. I was like, whoa. And the art in it was really nice. I didn't at the time know, of course, that Neil Adams punched up some of the art.
Right.
My enjoyment comes from spending $5 and buy blind packs at 6 or 7. Okay.
Sometimes it's just the right price. You buy something because you like the price.
Yeah.
That's the plus. The Treasury. Okay.
When I built I have some shelves over there. When I built my shelves, I put a spot in just for Treasury editions. I'm like, you know what? I need a shelf big enough for Treasury editions. So I made sure.
Mm-hmm. When I moved my collection, the bookcase I kept doesn't have room for European comics, so I don't have any. So I had to put those in another place.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the the U.S. comics fit there perfectly, but the European ones don't.
Another comic I got this week that was good is The Beauty, Volume 2, issue number 3, is this? 3? That's got a Jeremy Juan cover, who's also the writer. It's on the back, written by Jeremy Juan and Jason A. Hurley, art by Emanuelo Lapacino, colored by Leonardo Pacchiarati, and lettered by And World Design. And this is the one, I think it's a TV show that's about to come out. I don't have no idea where. But this is the one that's about the beauty is an STD that people want to catch, because when you catch it, it transforms you so you become beautiful. The artwork's nice, the touch of nudity here and there. And this one is, I don't even know what I'm not even 100% sure what the story is about in this one. There's some sort of crazy assassin. Let's see if it tells us in the back. Oh, soon to be a television series from Ryan Murphy and FX. Set in a world not unlike our own, the beauty chronicles what happens when a new sexually transmitted disease begins to spread. Only this is a disease that people actually want, as those who contract it are literally changed into more beautiful versions of themselves. The only hitch is a slight fever and eventually death. But isn't that an easy price to pay to be gorgeous? And they don't quite know at this point that death is at the end. Follow several characters as they deal with the beauty and how it changed society around them. A thief for hire on a dangerous job, a meteorologist with plummeting ratings, and special agents specializing in beauty-related crimes will all find their lives converging in unexpected ways. So that's why it's difficult to tell what this is about. In the first volume, which lasted 25 issues or so, they switched between genres all the time. One story, a little slice of life. Next story, a cop story with the beauty cops. Next story about this criminal. Next, and this one is intermingling the three stories I just mentioned. So it's really well done with some nice art, a little bit of a wraparound. All of these Ignition books have a little bit of a wraparound, that much, and a mysterious number on the back, which didn't unlock anything when I went to their website. But Ignition Press has had a lot of good books coming out.
Donald says he ran across 3 long boxes of unbagged 1970s funny comics.
Ooh.
Harvey's, Charlton, Gold Keys, and Archie's. Let me pick them over first, but we won't find out how much until tomorrow. All right. Well, I'm sure you'll do a video on it so we can see what you got.
Oh, I have to show you since.
If I moved officially, this weekend, the internet service provider is moving my service to my parents' home, so I'll be able to finally take the computer. Cal says he used to own the entirety of DC's Bible Treasury original layout art from Sheldon Mayer. Man, that's an obscure one. Because the DC's Bible comics are probably DC's most obscure comics.
If you remember,
no, it's not print run, Trek. It's not print run, no.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say it's the print run number, so I don't know what it is. If you remember this from last year or maybe the end of 2024, I bought the production negatives for Little Lotta 121, an issue that was never printed. And this is my own printout I made because I scanned in the negatives and lined them all up in Photoshop, and you get a perfect reproduction of the cover because this is what they use to make the printing plates. Well, I went and bought Spooky Spooktown number 63. This is the black plate negative. And in here is also the I forget what this character is called. Uncle something, Uncle Spooky or something. And in here is also the color plates. So I'm going to bring these into my class, and we're going to scan them in and put them together in Photoshop so they can learn what CMYK is.
Mm-hmm.
So decided to get a new one. It cost about $50. off of eBay. There's a shop on eBay that's got a bunch of them, and they've been there for. I don't think he sold any of them, but to me, because I don't think anyone knows what they are or what to do with them. Now, I don't think there's a ton. People are more willing to buy like production art when it's not a negative, when it's a positive. So
Yeah.
But
yeah,
production people are going to want to get those.
Yeah. No. Now, how many people know what to do with them?
Exactly.
And you need a transparency scanner to get them, which I don't even have, but the school has. So
that whole issue is a reprint issue. But the cover's original.
Spooky. What do you know the character? Does it say what the character's name is? Because I can't remember.
It's Spooky.
Just Spooky?
Yeah.
One of the ghosts from the Casper line.
Yeah.
The tough little ghost Spooky.
Tough little ghost Spooky. Nice cover. Does it say who did the cover?
No. And identifying the Harvey artists. I don't think there are that many experts on Harvey Harvey art.
I would guess Howard Post or
Kremer? Well, Walter Kremer, right?
Warren Kremer?
Could be.
Yeah, he's the one who did a lot of the covers. People usually know Walter Kremer's work. That's why I didn't think it was him.
Yeah, usually people just know Kramer's name and assign him to everything.
Yeah. But he did so much stuff and didn't pick up his artwork.
Yeah.
I had at least about 2 feet of Star Comics stuff he did at Marvel. He did so much stuff. He didn't have any place to put it.
Yeah.
So he just kind of like left it at the company because it's like, okay, they got a storage way.
Sid Crouchy art on this one.
Sid Crouchy art. Yeah, okay.
Crouchy, yeah. No R.
He's got some signed comics from his collection for helping him with some medical issues back in 2001.
Nice. Yeah, this one was never printed, so there is no printed copy of number 121. That's why I originally got this one, just because the guy, I forget who it was, someone, you find him on eBay, had like 10 or 15 of these production art things from Harvey. And I was looking them all up because I wanted to get one. And I looked up Little Lotta 121. And I was like, there is no Little Lotta 121. I'm like, what? They started making it, then went out of business or something.
Yeah. There's probably some art from there are Atlas comics from the 1950s. Those stories were never published in the US, but they were published in Australia. I saw some on Nick Caputo's website once from the weird horror anthologies. Yeah, and that's where they found out that a lot of the covers were retouched, especially after they had the Comics Code seal. But they sent the original art to the Australian publisher, and you can see what it looked like. Nick Caputo's blog is still there, so if anybody wants to see it,
check that one out every now and then. I think he publishes something once in a blue moon.
Yeah. I think Jay Stevens is a big Harvey fan.
Oh, yeah. I picked up Dwellings. That was good stuff. Horror Harvey.
Yeah.
Looks like Harvey art, but it's horror.
They continued the Marines down there too. Short-lived Atlas went on for years in Australia. Yeah, Marvel had about 3 Marines comics, I think.
Tell it to the Marine. One thing I got from eBay this week, I mentioned this last week and it came in, my mint condition Nexus number 1. Because I already have Nexus number 1 that I bought when it first came out. but it's got like rubbing up and down the spine on this side. And since I bought that Steve Rude book a couple weeks ago, I just happened to be thinking about Nexus again. And I was like, ooh, and I started looking at mine and my Nexus #1. I'm like, I wonder how much a mint condition issue goes for. Really cheap, $12. So I ordered one. The same seller I got my mint condition box office Poison #1 from, and both of them are in really nice shape, I have to say.
Yeah, I think that's the first appearance of those characters there. Judah Maccabee, who's at the silhouette at the door, and the heads.
Oh, okay.
The heads all have telepathic and telekinetic powers.
Right. Because this is actually volume 2, #1.
Yeah.
There was 3 black and white issues, which I was looking up how much those black and white, they're magazine-sized issues go for. And they're dirt cheap, and they're in crap shape. There's if you want a good shape Nexus #1, still not super expensive. It's around $80. But if you want a dirt cheap one, it's $6. I mean, a real crappy one.
So since I was yeah. I think one of the characters was called in the Marines comics was called Rock Murdoch, the fighting Gyrene. We had Steve Rude on the Geekly Weekly last year for an hour-long interview. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, cool. I just saw he's actually has an alternate cover coming out for Marvel, I think it was. I was like, oh, good. I hope he gets some work from. I mean, only one cover, but I hope he gets some more work from Marvel because he's good. He can find some editors he didn't wear out.
Yeah. Jim Shooter had a story about meeting Steve Rude in the beginning of his career. Apparently, Steve Rude went to Marvel to get his portfolio appraised, and he referred to himself as the dude in the third person.
Right.
But then I remember Rude went online and said, "I don't remember doing any of that." Although it sounds something weird to make up about somebody. So I bet Rude was doing that for a week or so, and it just as an affectation. It probably coincided with him going to Marvel, or he was putting on an act, maybe, and he forgot.
Yeah, who knows?
He didn't get the job anyway.
He does that all the time.
The dude.
I guess Tit Goblin hangs out with Steve Rude.
Yeah.
Third verse.
Among the guys who took over from Steve Rude occasionally on Nexus, there's a few stories that were drawn by Butch guys. But I think Paul Smith was the one that had the most interesting style, that was closest to Rude.
Yeah. I think I liked the Paul Smith stuff best that Steve Rude didn't do.
Yeah, because you look at the guy's stuff and you look, man, this is Butch guy's art. It's not just it's Butch guy's art. You look at the costumes that because Steve Rude had he didn't have a fashion. He had a fashion sense. So that everybody had different clothing styles, but there was a certain fashion.
Yeah, he wasn't drawing generic clothing.
Yeah.
So many superhero guys, especially, draw generic clothing.
Yeah, but then Butch Guys comes in and he draws clothing for a few characters. And yes, this looks like Butch Guys clothing, even if it's in the future, but it still looks like Butch Guys clothing.
Oh, and my friend Ed, who was just over, the Rude Abides.
I watched a lot of his videos, interviews over the years. There's a good doc on him on Tubi. Okay, we don't get Tubi in Europe. It's blocked here. Hello, Sleepy Reader.
My friend Ed and friend Bunch met Steve Rude once, and they say he's a great guy because it was at one con. I think it was a New York con. He was giving like a painting demo or something, and Ed and Bunch were the only two who showed up for it. So they just had a great time talking painting with him for an hour. So they will sing Steve Rude's praises as a person because they had a good time with him.
Because when he does painted art, it looks really good.
Yeah,
it combines really well with his pencils. I can't remember who colored the Nexus color comic. Actually, you can look it up, can't you? Who colored the Nexus? The Nexus you have over there.
I don't know either.
Yeah, but can you pick it up?
Shall I look inside?
Yeah, let's find out who colored Nexus.
Let's see. And there's the cover. That's when Steve Rude wasn't as good a painter as he is now. But he learned over the years. Let's see. Some interesting color on it, too. Lots of bright colors. It's not colored like a normal. The story so far. Colorist, George Freeman. He is Captain Canuck his?
Is it? I think it is.
I'm not thinking of someone else.
Name is familiar.
I know the name George Freeman from coloring stuff.
Yeah, from AC Comics, or from Vanguard, from one of those publishers that did the Canadian stuff. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So he was the Captain Canuck guy.
Damien says it just seems sad to see Rude struggling for money.
It is. Like
I saw him
doing a Marvel cover. So I hope he gets more.
I remember a few years ago when Bill Mastner Lobes was living in his car.
Oh yeah. Wow, this stuff is really nice. I got to stop looking at it. I'm getting distracted.
If it's Ollie Optics, it's later in the run.
Issue 1 was George Freeman.
Yeah, Damien says Captain Canuck. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, Captain Canuck. Okay.
It did the art of Canuck, but Richard Comley. Oh yeah. Okay.
The writer. Okay.
Right, but it's Steve Olive. The colored Nexus. It was later in the run. I don't remember. I'll check it out later.
It's the Oli Optics. He colored Akira, right?
Yeah.
And invent a whole digital process for that.
Mm-hmm.
Akira, Kaneda, Tetsuo. We used to shout that across the bullpen as we were pasting up Akira. That's what a lot of the dialogue was. Them shouting each other's names.
Pretty much. That's it in a nutshell. Even the anime was like that.
I still have not seen the movie. Somehow.
I found it entertaining.
I just saw TikTok of some young person watching it for the first time and loving it. And I'm like, I still haven't seen that darn movie.
I saw the same TikTok, and it was like, everything that she said, I can agree with. Watching anime up to that point and then watching that, and it's like, visually, it's amazing. And it's like the comic. You could just get lost in the comic on all the details in there.
Yeah.
Story is what it is. It's hard to explain it because
Neo Tokyo is about to explode. What more explanation do you need?
Exactly. and the whole thing is like, okay, yeah, how do you describe Akira? It's like, well, for most of the story, he's not all there.
Right.
They got motorcycles. They race around on them.
Popping
they shout
pills.
Each other's names.
Yep. And then weirdness happens.
Yeah. Freeman drew a beautiful Jack of Hearts miniseries, the one from the 80s. That's the one where they reveal he's an alien, right?
Yeah, that's why I never liked it.
I don't think I ever actually read that one. I like the designs for Jack of Hearts.
Yeah.
Visually, he looks cool. but I don't think I ever read many of his stories at all.
He didn't have a lot of them. The first place I read Jack of Hearts was in a issue of Hulk. Like, I don't even remember, Hulk 218 or something. I don't even remember the number.
Right, because Jack of Hearts was a supporting character in in White Tiger.
Yes, and I really liked him.
And then, he was a supporting. He was a supporting character in Iron Man when Bill Mantlo was writing the comic, and he stayed there for a while.
I liked him. Like, he was a supporting character everywhere. He was not a lead character. So that Jack of Hearts miniseries was the first time he was a lead character.
Mm-hmm.
And like when he fought the Hulk, it was cool too, because I liked him because he was, he was young and out of control, kind of like his power was out of control, kind of thing. And I found that interesting. Then they made him an alien, and I was like, eh.
Mm-hmm. They must like to insert Jack in a bunch of places.
Yeah.
He did that. Yeah. But then again, it kind of makes sense that they would want to try Jack of Hearts. At that time, they were testing everything. That's why they also did the Rocket Raccoon miniseries and the Hercules miniseries. The two of them.
I think I'm really a fan of Jack of Hearts in that one issue of the Hulk. That's when he was cool, taking on the Hulk.
Yeah, I think that I think some people liked the costume, but he was always very hard to draw because it's a Paris design.
Yeah.
So it looks like a card.
Yep, Superior Cocoon number 22. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Everybody was kung fu. Now, the funny thing is, Jack of Hearts would be easy to do in this day and age, like in the movies. It would be just another costume. You don't have to draw it all the time. You just make one out of whatever they make movie costumes out of, and he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen anybody cosplay Jack of Hearts? Because I haven't.
I have not. That one's a deep cut for anyone to pop up with it. No, I've never seen anyone dress up as Jack of Hearts.
And you don't have to just suggest that, Sleepy. They've outright said it.
Mm-hmm. But there are artists who like Jack of Hearts. That's why they keep bringing him back. It's not just the writers who are into him.
But they just want to draw him for a long time.
There's a guy called Chris Waldrick. He's done a Jack of Hearts costume.
Ah. So there is some Jack of Hearts cosplay.
Yes.
I knew there had to be. I've just never seen it because there's probably not a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a guy. He has a website about it. Chris Waldrick portfolio Jack of Hearts cosplay. Well, the costume is not bad. Looks kind of plasticky. He has he puts on a clear contact lens on his left eye. To see.
Sometime in the 80s, they also came with a stripped down Jack of Hearts new costume too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was around long.
Or maybe in the 90s.
But I remember that. Sometime in the 80s, after the miniseries.
Right. Because Jack of Hearts also appeared in Quasar, I think.
Yeah.
It made more sense for him to appear in Quasar. Next Marvel DC crossover.
Yeah.
Jack of Hearts versus the Royal Flush Gang.
The Royal Flush Gang must be the goofiest looking villains ever, because they look like they're wearing giant cards. That's like
right. I mean, nobody should be afraid of them.
Jack of the Hearts was in a new issue Eric got this week.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, look at that.
Probably the Avengers. Whenever they want to use him now, it's with the Avengers.
Let me show you something else I got this week. Issue 5 of the Lapham's Good as Dead. And this is classic David Lapham, as he does his 8-panel grid crime story. This is about some shenanigans going on in a small town that is kind of cut off from the rest of the world. There's some evil people doing shenanigans there. And the main character is the sheriff who's been poisoned and is due to die soon. So it's like, so he thinks these locals did it, but there's outside people in there too. And the FBI has come in, and there's one corrupted FBI guy we know who's on the payroll of these mysterious people behind stuff. And if you like Lapham crime stories, this is a good one. The only thing I don't like is it's square bound. I would prefer if it had staples and was saddle stitched. I just don't like that these don't open up flat. But good, pick up the trade when it comes out if you like Lapham stuff, because each issue, I think, is about double size, so it's going to be a lot of pages. But it's good stuff. I generally always like Lapham stuff, and this is no exception.
The Avengers, yeah. Al Brooks presents Jack of Hearts in Blazing Saddles. Do you like Lapham in color better?
I don't even notice. If it was in black and white, I'd like it just as well. So the color doesn't mean as much to me, but I can understand for some people it has to be in color. That's a selling point. Like, I'm okay with black and white comics, but not everybody is.
Yeah, depends on the style. I have comics by Juan Jimenez. Some are in black and white, because that's the stuff that he published in the Argentinian magazines. And then you have the stuff he did for the French market, and that's painted art. So
I was just seeing some TikTok.
If you're not used to it,
yeah, I was just seeing some TikTok artist. You know, there's often you'll see sort of independent cartoonists selling their work on TikTok or whatever. And this was just one guy, I don't know his name, but he was pretty talented. He had this sort of thin-lined pen style. He could draw, and it looked pretty good, except printed in color, it did not look good. It's like his thin line did not hold up underneath the heavy coloring. And I was just like, I just wanted to give him some advice and say, don't do that. Because the actual printed page comic didn't look anywhere near as good as his black and white stuff did. Because he was using a thin line style with no real shading in the inking. So he was doing this cell shaded style in the color, except his darks and lights were too far apart, and it was just ruining his line work. I was like, sometimes I just want to reach out and help these people, but there's nothing you can do. They're just pixels on a screen.
Yeah.
And who says they're going to listen?
That's the other thing too. You know,
unsolicited advice.
I ran into that a few times too, where it's like, well, do I really want to mention this? Then are they going to listen?
Certainly, if they ask, I'd tell them.
Yeah,
but unsolicited
they don't put
advice,
out they don't go, hey, what do you guys think about this? Instead, it's like, here's what I did for this. All right, that's what he did. There's not much I can say.
And even if they say, what did you think? They really don't want to. They want encouragement. They don't want to hear you say, oh, my God, this printed awfully. Your color is terrible. Stop it. Try using just light colors. Because that's one of the things that's one of the things to immediately improve artwork that has a light line weight, is not to use heavy dark colors. That fights with your line weight. But we can't save everyone, can we?
Nope, unfortunately not. And then there's times where you see someone do something and it's like, oh, that's interesting. That's inspiring.
Mhm.
And then you go ahead and ask, hey, how did you do that? And instead of telling me how, it was like, well, um, if you could introduce me to some editors, I'll teach you. It's like, I'm not gonna. I don't know you. You did one thing interesting, but
Yeah.
I can't do a recommendation. I don't know how well you work. I don't know your work ethics. I don't.
Huh.
You've never published anything other than your own stuff. I have no idea how long you take to do that. It's like I can't introduce a stranger to an
Right.
editor, because again, it's one of those things when you recommend someone, you've worked with that person before,
Right.
you
Right.
know. But still, it's like, oh, okay, you did something cool. That was neat, but I'm not going to risk, recommending you to find out you can't keep a deadline or anything like that.
Huh.
You could have told him, kid, if I know editors, there's nothing you can teach me. You're here to tell me how you do this so that I can explain to the editor if you're good at it.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, I don't think I unfollowed the person, but it was like, all right, I'll keep an eye on this person. And then later on, it's like, I guess they decided to maybe not necessarily teach a class, but to sell the things he's discovered. And it's like,
Ah.
but you also just showed a book you're getting the information from.
Ah, ah.
So did you really discover something, or did you read something and go, oh, no one's read this book yet?
Hmm.
Maybe I'll sell these courses. I'm not too sure. I haven't deep dived into it, but it's like you showed a book, and granted, there are plenty of people who are too lazy to actually read the book themselves.
Oh yeah.
Maybe pay for the outline and use that
Yeah.
template. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, okay, that's just, you know, interesting would be the word I
Have
would
you
look
ever
for.
bought any like brushes from like True Grit Texture Supply? I always see them like
I
digital
have
brushes.
right. I've seen their stuff and it's very cool. And I've
Yeah.
downloaded free versions of people's digital brushes.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that they're neat, but I don't get to really use them as much. And I've gotten like there have been plenty of free brushes from people who just decided, oh, I did this. This is pretty cool. If you guys want it, here's the PDF. And I was able to make my own brushes from it. Um, if I was to buy, it would probably be from them, but I haven't bought anything. They do have some cool things, and
Yeah,
they
they
have some
do.
interesting patterns. But at the same time, it's like I don't see using them other than the day I get them, I'll test them out and probably
And
not use them.
then that
You
almost
know,
always happens when I get new digital brushes and things, like the free ones. I download them, test them out, and then never use them again. So I don't do that much like digital painting or coloring. So
right? And then I've learned a few things where it's like, oh, I could make my own textures,
yeah, I do
and
that
and
all the
I've
time.
done and I've done that so many times. It's like, oh, I have a library of textures that I use all the time that I made probably more than 10 years ago because they still work out quite well in the coloring.
I've got books of texture that I've
Yep.
made physically and scanned in. So when I need textures, this is usually what I go to. But these aren't I've made some brushes too for like Illustrator, but I like making textures and things. Uh, this is a good book for making them too. Oh, you want to? And these are just done with ink and brushes. Sometimes spun, whatever I can find that makes texture. Some like that one is a splashed texture. That one is a busted brush texture. Uh, sometimes a bigger brush, getting a little Franz Kleinish there.
That's a good one. Have
You
you
know,
uh Larry Hama taught how he learned a few texture techniques from Wally Wood?
Oh, I don't think I've seen that.
And so what you do is you take like saran wrap
Oh, yes.
and you bunch it up,
Right.
and then you dip it into ink, and then
Mhm.
you blot it onto the page.
I may have done something like that on one of these pages. Because like I said, I have 3 books filled with the texture.
Yeah. And I've even made textures using the brushes that I did have to make like a concrete texture, marble, all that type of stuff.
Mhm. And you can make textures from pictures of texture too.
The
Yeah.
Digital Underground. We're about to dance.
Yeah.
That book is super cool, very artistic.
Just getting stuff done. Here, since these are right on my table, you want to see some cool drawings I was working on this week?
Sure.
Lots of textures in them. Why not? These are my 6x9-inch drawings that I sometimes blow up into my big ink drawings. I think I did 10 or 11 of them. You can see the blue line underneath. So first they were just little thumbnails from my ink book. Then I just drew right over them in black line. Then often when I want to make a big ink drawing, I'll take one of these and blow it up and redraw it to get everything just the way I want it, and then transfer it to a 22 by 30-inch sheet of paper. That's just some stuff I was working on this week.
Nice.
Getting some images done.
How many of those have you done over the years?
That's those a lot. I only started doing them just like that maybe 10 years ago, and I've probably done at least a couple of hundred. I'd have to look. I call those my 3-marker ink drawings because I use 3 markers.
If you did a book with your Dreams of Things covers, how many pages would it have?
Well, I just finished through cover 308, which means I have probably about 320 covers because I made alternate covers sometimes. So it'd have a lot of pages in it with one cover a page. And I've got
doing a 300-page book of them, or you just select the ones you like best and do a coffee table book.
I'd probably want to do them all. And I set up I think it was last year, I set up about 250 of them to be printed. I made some prints out of some. And I now have to set up. I was like, how long ago did I do? I have another 70 to do to set up for printing. Like, how did that happen? How that happens is time keeps going forward.
Guy likes the texture book. He likes the drawings, but he prefers the texture book. Jackson Pollock.
Textures are fun. They really are fun to me.
Because you don't have to really think about it. You just let it go and you just keep going. And then you go, okay, this is done.
Right. The only thing you have to think about is how I'm going to make them. You've got to say, all right, how am I going to make, and am I going to use this brush? Am I going to use that brush? Am I going to use this? When you're actually down to doing them, you're not thinking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know that Jackson Pollock's name is so prevalent in overall culture that this is the first time I actually see it used as a comparison in its correct context. Because it's usually when they mention a Jackson Pollock painter, Jackson Pollock painting, they're talking about Technicolor yawns.
And do you guys know who Franz Klein is? He the reason I mentioned his name is I was showing that he used to do sort of the same thing. He'd get a phone book and do ink drawings on it, but with just like brush strokes. And then he would make these big canvases, which he would just use black and white paint and use these big brush strokes going across, very energetic. And that's kind of what, when I do the same thing small, that's what it reminds me of. Franz Klein paintings. He was an abstract expressionist in the 50s. And before and after, I think.
Right.
But he's most famous for those black and white brushstroke paintings. Good stuff. Want to see another comic?
Sure.
What do we got? This series continues to impress. I'm kind of actually a little shocked that it's so popular. Only because it's really good and it's not quite superhero related. And in this one, because this is the one, like I said, it's called Assorted Crisis Events. And it's really, imagine if like Crisis on Infinite Earths happened, how would real people deal with everyday life when all of a sudden people from another dimension show up, themselves from another dimension show up. And this one, and it reminds me so much of Ice Cream Man, not because they're anything alike in content, but because they play with the form of comics so much. So in this one is about a guy who, after some crisis, can you see me? He became sort of invisible to people because when he became homeless. And then right here, you can see he started to perceive gutters around him. So he was perceiving the gutters in a comic book and how everybody was living their life in a little rectangle. And he was like, oh my goodness. So, and then all of a sudden he got knocked out into the gutter where all of a sudden he's between the panels. He's in the gutter space. And it's kind of about how when you become homeless, you become invisible until you slowly fade away. And if you live too long, if you can't find your way out of this gutter space, you end up breaking down into your component drawing parts until you fade away as a sketch. And it gives his whole life story about it. And he was a cartoonist. And he was a successful cartoonist. First, he was an unsuccessful cartoonist, then successful. And then he lost everything. And it does this is where it reminded me of Ice Cream Man, too, when it's like he's saying, stop reading right here. If you stop reading right here, the story will end up happy. If you don't read any further, this will be a happy ending. See, I did well. Then the next page, he's like, well, thanks anyways. And it's a real, these assorted crisis event stories are real well done and real emotional. And that's why it surprises me. This along with Exquisite Corpses are the two indie books that I see lots of mainstream people buying. And it's really kind of shocking to me that this is crossing over with like mainstream superhero people. Because, there's no fights in them. But they're just so well done. The art is terrific. The story is terrific. They're playing with the form a lot. And it's just good. There's one trade paperback out of this stuff. That's what I got since I didn't jump on in the beginning. And it's just really good stuff. It's like I said, it's so good, I'm amazed it's popular.
Funny thing is that with the character talking to the reader and saying, don't turn the other page, very reminiscent of there's a Grover book from Sesame Street that says there's a monster at the end of this book.
Yes.
And do not turn the page.
Right.
It's like, why'd you turn the page? And you just keep turning, and he's freaking out. It's like, I don't want to see the monster. Don't want to see the monster. And spoiler for, I don't know, a 40-year-old children's book, the monster ends up being Grover, because Grover is one of the monsters.
The monster is you, who's reading the book, and you're supposed to be Grover, right?
Yep.
Ice Cream Man writer now taking over one of the new Archie books from Oni Comics.
I did see that. That's right. Archie has licensed out a bunch of comic books to Oni Press, who are going to be doing some Archie stuff. And some of it sounds pretty interesting. Like, what's the guy's name? Prince? Maxwell Prince? Is that the writer? Yeah.
Yep.
And there's other interesting people doing those books from Oni. Interesting stuff. Like I was actually a little, when I first started reading, I'm like, oh no, a guy who knows he's in a comic book. We've seen that before. But it won me over. It was so well done, it won me over. It won over the cynical part of me.
Right. That's the thing. Sometimes you'll go in thinking, "Oh, this is going to be one thing," and then all of a sudden, when it's not, it's a nice, fresh view on something that's been done a few times.
Yeah. Like they really play with the form a lot in this series, so I like to see that. And the artist, I first decided I've heard good things about the series, but I hadn't picked up an issue yet. I just kept, I finally picked up the first trade paperback when the artist's name is Eric Zawadzki, Zawadzki. Zawadzki. When I just was reading someone's end of the year stuff, and they were naming the best artists of the year or something, and his name was in there. Oh, I was like, oh, really? I got to check his stuff out. I've been meaning. So that's why I ended up getting the trade paperback.
Eric says assorted crisis events in Absolute Martian Manhunter. It's Dennis Kemp really playing with the form.
Yeah. He's the writer on. Yeah, I read Absolute Martian Manhunter, the first few issues I remember, and I liked it, but I don't even remember it now. I'm like, because it's Martian Manhunter.
Yeah,
and not much happened, but him playing with the form. But I
remember Sleepy Reader saying he liked the Absolute Martian Manhunter too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I suppose that John Jones is the guy who can mess up the most without people getting mad.
Yeah. Because no one really cares that you messed up Martian Man, especially since it's an absolute book and they can do whatever they want.
Sure. But exploring John Jones's personality and powers gives you more room to play with, I guess.
Yeah.
Because even though it's been there for decades, a lot of people don't do much different with John Jones, even in the Justice League. I guess the guy who came up with more different sets of powers was Grant Morrison when he did JLA.
Yeah,
I remember him saying in the interview, I can just keep giving him powers because his powers are so well defined.
Yeah. With that character, it's like he's. I collected his book back in the 90s. I could tell you he loves those, their version of Oreo cookies. And then he's a shapeshifter. And like Superman, for a short while, he's the last of his kind, but not really. Every now and then, one would pop up. And they kind of just rehashed that even in the cartoon and the various cartoons that he had. So he seems like a popular character that's almost in a way not memorable.
Yeah.
Because they keep changing the stuff on him. Or not changing. They just add, oh, he could do this now. Type of a thing.
Well, he has like Superman's powers, telepathic powers, and he can turn invisible. So it's like just that power set is crazy.
Yep. And then they said that he's vulnerable to fire just so that he can be scared of something that's normal.
Yeah, it's like he's not even vulnerable to fire. Martians run around waving their hands in the air and crying when they see fire. It's just so weird.
Yeah, do you guys remember Alien Nation?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because they were deathly allergic to seawater.
Oh.
Yep. And spoiled milk makes them is like drunk. Alcohol to them, makes them drunk.
Yeah.
Maybe they shouldn't have come down to a water planet, huh?
Frankenstein trope with fire. A Fire
Yeah.
bad.
But at least I could see Frankenstein being afraid of fire because he's, doesn't have brains. His brains is Abby someone.
Yeah, John Jones is all brains.
Yeah.
Each cell is an independent cell.
Huh. Another comic I got this week. Let's see. Another Jeremy Juan cover in written comic from Ignition Press. Murder Podcast. I do enjoy his covers on this. As, I'll read you the description on the back. A mysterious podcast has appeared in the feed of your phone. You don't remember subscribing to it. Do you press play anyway? What could be the harm? Plenty, as it turns out, listeners of Dead Sounds are going on murderous rampages, and they don't stop until everyone around them is dead. And it begs the question, who will be next? For Mina and her friends, true crime programs provide them with endless fodder for conversation. They love talking about their favorite series and poring over the clues to solve the killings. They can only hope that all of this listening has prepared them for when they find themselves wrapped up in a deadly plot that could be fodder for a podcast of their own. So it's about a podcast. When you listen to it, you go out and kill people, but it's a podcast that doesn't exist. I think that's the evil person behind it. They seem to be worshiping weird computer things. So we don't know what's going on with them yet.
Looks like Skeletor. The guy looks like Skeletor and Mola Ram had a kid.
But besides, show me. But besides
Star Wars.
There's cops in here who are trying to figure. Here's some of the women who are in the podcast club. And it's a podcast that doesn't exist. It's the second season of a popular podcast. But the second season isn't out yet. Here they are talking to the podcasters going, we don't have a second season yet. We're still recording them. So when it shows up on your podcast list, you download it, but it's only showing up on certain. It's not like worldwide or anything like that. It seems to just show up on certain people's list who then go crazy and start killing people. Matter of fact, it happened to these two guys who were listening in a car. So they immediately started trying to kill each other as the one guy was driving the car. So it's fun stuff.
What is it with crime podcasts nowadays?
Who's doing what?
What is it? There's a lot of interest in crime podcasts, and I don't understand why. People like them.
I listened to a couple of them just for the storytelling. That's about it. I'm not a big true crime person. I listen to it for the, as I'm working, for like the storytelling. It's like listening to a story.
Yeah, I don't listen much to podcasts, but when I did, it's something good to just have on the background.
Yeah.
I tend to enjoy the ones that were like various actors from TV shows will get together and talk about what it was like working on that particular show and stuff like that. So I've enjoyed that type of thing because because most of the times they'll have a guest and they'll go through that person's journey into becoming like an actor. And
I haven't listened to much of them.
So stuff like that I enjoy. I like the story of the journey of a professional. How do they get from point A to point B type of thing? And because almost everyone has a different kind of a story. Some of them went to school for acting. Some of them just happened to be a child actor and stuff like that. And I always found those interesting because, again, as they're telling their story, it's actually pretty cool to see, what decisions that they made and stuff like that.
Yeah, I listen to most of my podcasts. I listen to are on YouTube. Got a couple of true crime ones I'll put on. Of course, lots of comic book ones.
Right.
And some history ones mostly. And some ASMR ones. So those are my three podcast. No, I don't think ASMR counts as a podcast. It's more like a YouTube video,
Right.
making noises.
And then, and then that leads into like watching people make something or build something. I
Yeah.
tend to watch that and enjoy that as well. Whether it's like someone doing there's a guy that I watch on YouTube called Toy Polloy, and he talks about fixing his action figures and toys and how he's been doing this for years, so he
Mhm.
can like take a figure that might have had the arm broken, and by using pieces of Legos he could reattach the arm in a way that you could take it off, put it back on, but be a full working hand, full working arm, or a full working head and stuff like that. And I find it fascinating to watch because a lot of times it's like, oh, you get ideas to fix your own toys and what he uses and things like that. So, and I enjoy watching that, or even down to like custom custom making an action figure that you already have the action figure, but you want to get more details out of it. So maybe putting a wash on it to look old and stuff like that. So I find those
Mhm.
fascinating to watch. The same as watching Bob Ross work.
Right.
Is that type of thing. You watch the artists do their thing, and it's just fascinating to watch.
Yep. Mhm. Good stuff. What?
One of the other things that I bought for my supplies are a whole bunch of these top loaders for cards.
You had a huge box of them.
Oh yeah, I end up ordering 500
Wow.
500 of them all together because that comes down to like 14 cents per
Okay.
top loader, since I use these for when I ship out the cards that I have sold on my eBay store. I put them in these for protection.
Oh,
I also have the penny sleeves, so it just gives them that more protection. And my own sketch cards, I would put it into these types of things. And so I end up, I buy those in bulk because it's just in the long run cheaper that way. And it'll
yeah.
take about maybe 3 years for me to go through them all. But I
Right.
like just getting them in bulk and having them and not having to search them out. So when I do order stuff from like I said, it'll sound like a commercial from Bags Unlimited, but they had the better price than most of the other places. Even the as I mentioned, the boxes at the end it cost me like $7 altogether for each box, where you could pay up to 12 in a comic book shop. So it just
Yeah.
economically makes sense to do that. And then I
That
also picked up a another one of the portfolios. Very similar to this one. This is a Blick one,
yeah.
but the one I got is slightly larger. I just don't know where I put it, but that one I'm going to use for the movie cards, the lobby cards. I have a few of the Spider-Man ones, and since that's a little larger than most of my other presentation case portfolio cases, it's like, oh, let me get the one that's actually made for this particular size. And then I also got a bag of Treasury Edition sleeves.
You know what? I bought I bought a Treasury Edition sleeves too for the first time like 3 months ago. I've never had Treasury Edition sleeves, but I bought a bag of them. So it's like, yeah, look at that, even more.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like I have a few treasuries, maybe 7 to 10 of them altogether, if even.
I've been meaning to
Uh,
buy bags for them for like 30 years, but I just
yeah,
never did.
and it's like, oh, let me get these so I can, because I've been moving things around and I
Yeah.
don't have a dedicated shelf for them yet. But it's like, but because I move them around a lot, I did want to protect them. And it's like now that I got it, I'll feel better getting the Superman Spider-Man book that just came out, as you mentioned before, because I do want one in that size.
And that just reminds me, eGerber is finally going to have a website you can actually order their Mylar from.
Really?
For the last 20 years, like you'll often, if you look up Mylar bags, you'll see them anywhere from like 18 to $30. And the cheapest place to order them from is from eGerber. They're the ones who make them. So it's like if you were to order them from eGerber, it would cost you about I think $12 for a pack of 50. But if you were to order them through a comic shop or off of Amazon or eBay, it's going to cost you, throw $5 on top of that. But and I've ordered from them before, not in a while, but for years and years, for the last 20 years, they have a website with all their prices on it, but then you have to call them and put an order in over the phone, which nobody does anymore.
No, not at all.
But I just went to their website like last week for some whatever reason, and they were like, coming soon, a website you can actually order from. I was like, all right, look at that. They're entering the 2000s. Yeah. So
Nice.
soon you'll be able to get your Mylar easier for cheaper.
Excellent.
Because it's like I've looked on like Amazon before for the same exact bags from E. Gerber, branded E. Gerber, and instead of $15, they're $30 because someone's just making a buck. Want to see another comic I got?
Yeah.
Sure.
Here is the other popular one. Besides assorted crisis events, is Exquisite Corpses. And this is the one written by Tyler Boss with James Tinian, art by Valentino Delandro with Michael Walsh, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by Becca Carey. And this is the one that's a battle royale between assassins. 12 assassins, each representing a family who are a family of rich people who really run the United States. And every 5 years they have this battle royale between assassins to see who gets to be the boss of bosses. And they take over a small town and cut off that small town from the rest of the world, and then just send their assassins in to fight each other. And a lot of regular people die along the way. And so there's like behind the scenes stuff going on. These couple of guys right here managed to get to a radio because all communication is cut off. And they thought they were talking to the police in the outside world on citizen band radio, but it was really the bad guys, because they send in a crew to keep everybody under control. And like I said, this is one of the ones that's been popular with mainstream superhero people. Maybe it's the assassins, maybe it's the battle royale, maybe it's the colorful costumes some of them have, but it's been a pretty solid book. But like I said, these two have had the most mainstream crossover I've seen in a while by two indie books. And it makes me wonder why. I'm always like, why?
Yeah, I'm not really sure that's if something is getting successful, it's because it's actually good and people are taking notice. Because I don't see people going after things that are supposed to be popular or that are programmed to be popular. People are have been tired of events for a couple of years now.
I think they can get it on the ground floor because they're both new.
I think it's also we also have this internet age of the social media.
Yeah.
Where people are paying attention to what people are liking. We have always kind of had that, but I think something like TikTok, where you could scroll through and you get new information each and every time, where something like Facebook is feeding you certain things, but it's not always changing. It's the same information from the people that you're already listening to.
Mm.
Where
for me, Facebook is all advertising.
Yes. And so something like TikTok is something new. You get your usual people that you are following, but because you're following comics and you're following indie comics, I think that you're more exposed to indie stuff because your algorithm feeds you what you're looking at. And I think you're looking at more indie stuff and people are doing the same thing. So they're getting exposed to it more so than they have before on other social media platforms. And that's the only guess because there are titles popping up and it's like, oh, that looks actually pretty interesting. So I think it's something like that where if you like Marvel DC, you already know the information about Marvel and DC. So they don't, in a way, need to advertise. So you don't really see them advertising. We're also seeing people who are in comic book shops in other places outside of New York saying, this is what's selling well. This is what I have in my shop. And I've gotten to see more comic book shops that way than any other way before. Same thing kind of with YouTube is that once you follow something that you happen to watch that day that caught your eye, then your feed is full of very similar items. So I think because we're not getting bombarded with ads for those comics, we're paying more attention to them. You know, the moment I see an ad for Marvel on TikTok or something, I just scroll through. I don't care about it.
I do notice that there's more people trying to sell you stuff on TikTok than ever before in this new year.
There is a lot of commercials that are blatant commercials, and it's like
someone's gonna get fired over this price on this. Da 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 da.
Right,
I think the TikTok shop is broken. This price is so low.
Yeah, so you do the TikTok shop. I had an affiliate link with TikTok shop. I've sold maybe one item for them. I just personally, when I get into it and look at it, here's someone that wanted to be in advertising. And I look at it and it's like it's slimy. It's you want to sell stuff, that's fine. But when you look at something, it's like that price is just way overpriced. Especially the toys. And it's like, oh, and I bought one because I'm not going to advertise something that I don't, I haven't held.
Right.
And I bought a Ninja Turtles toy, and it's like I'm not doing a commercial because it's a blatant knockoff. You again working in production, you could see that. Oh, this is just scanned and then pasted on this box from the original, because you could just tell just things like something as simple as a glow. It's like, oh, this is a reproduction. Someone copied it, and the Ninja Turtle toy, even the feel of it is different. It's a different plastic. It may be the same mold, and it may be coming out of the same company that's, in China that's printing these out. But it's like it's a different plastic. It's a different feel. The different rubber. So it's like so these are either just, oh, we made these turtles for NECA, and then it's like, well, we still have the molds here. Let's print out a few ourselves and sell it. But let's use the cheapest plastic. And it's like, I'm not going to resell this. I'm not going to tell people to go buy this.
Yeah.
And then again, being in the industry long enough, you kind of know the prices of some of these things. And it's like the markup is insane. Right now they're advertising these cabinets that you could put your Hot Wheels car in. And all those cabinets are shot glasses cabinets that you could buy at Michael's for half, if not even more than half of what they're trying to sell it on that TikTok shop. And it's like, yeah, granted, they do make it easy where it's like you see it, you want it, one click button, you got it.
Yeah.
That's the model they're going for. At the same time, it's like I hate paying retail, and I know Michael's every month has a sale on these things for at least half off. So it's like, I don't want to advertise that either. So you see things and it's like, and there's bad commercials some people put out. Some of them are funny. Granted, there are some funny ones.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, I don't want to buy that. And it's like, and I don't want to advertise or try to sell that too because, until I buy the thing, then I'm willing to sell it. There's a there's a an outlet for Target, and I think it actually is Target run. And so there was a Godzilla toy that I had ordered, and as far as I could tell, it is the real deal because I think it's directly coming from Target's outlet store that has a different name, like Bullseye or something like that. And that took forever to ship. And by the time I got it, they had already refunded me the money because TikTok itself has like there's a time limit
Yeah.
that you may not be aware of, but there's a time limit from the time you order it for them to ship it and they get to you. And then I got an email that says there's a problem with this order. You can either cancel it or wait. And I was like, no, I'll wait. And then a few days later, TikTok is like, well, they took too long. We're going to refund your money. So all right, so I got the money back on it. It eventually showed up. It's like, what do I do with this thing now? So it's like, so that it's like, again, don't want to recommend it because I don't know what's going to actually happen to this thing. And you're watching it, and it's like they're doing a lot of stuff that would be illegal if there was a commercial on television.
Yep.
The blatant lies,
Well,
the type of stuff like that.
I just heard that now that TikTok is American owned, Larry Ellison of Oracle and the CIA has it. Some of the sales stuff is going to have to change because it has to be FTC compliant.
Okay.
So things might be changing a little bit on TikTok, and they're collecting your information and sending it to the government, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's yeah. I did see like when I went on
like,
today.
We're not afraid of the Chinese government. We're afraid of the U.S. government. They're the ones who can do things to us.
Yeah, it popped up with new terms and services, and it's like, all right.
Yeah.
And as far as the only time I bought stuff was I bought the markers. I haven't tried them out yet, but it was like, oh, that was a good price. So I got the markers.
Acrylic paint markers.
Yeah, the ones that are the small ones.
I've seen so many ads for so many acrylic paint markers. Yeah.
Yeah. So these small ones that I got, and it's like, okay, these seem nice.
Yeah.
I haven't tested them out yet, but it's like I do want to play around with them, and it was like, okay, it was like at a price that I felt like, okay, that's a good price. I bought acrylic markers before; they're very expensive. Just by the size of this, we're going to probably go through them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so I picked that up, and I picked up like maybe 4 items altogether from the TikTok shop. And of the 4, as I mentioned, one was a knockoff toy. The other one was the real toy, I believe. The markers are markers. You got to get what you get with those. And then I did buy like a diorama display thing that looks like a garage for the cars. And I was like, okay, that seems neat. That's not something that I see around every day. And it was like, okay, I'll give that a try. So I could eventually have to build that. But everything else that I see is like, you could get all that stuff somewhere else for so much cheaper.
I actually bought something off the TikTok shop recently, a cycling face mask for the winter that's supposed to let the air out the front and not fog up your glasses, because I wear safety glasses when I ride to keep the wind out of my eyes. It's a fine hood face mask, but it does not. It fogs up your glasses just like every other one. Matter of fact, there's like a plastic sort of grill on it that I guess is supposed to let your breath out, but there's a piece of cloth over the plastic grill.
Right.
I'm like, just like every other face mask, when I put it on inside and my glasses immediately fogged up. It's like, you breathe and it forces your breath out the top and fogs up your glasses. And I was like, am I supposed to seam rip this to get the face, to get the piece of sewed on fabric? I was just like, I gave him a bad review.
Captain Infinity's here.
Hello.
Oh, hello there. He was live streaming himself. As long as you're not live streaming anyone else.
Mhm. Well, I'm live streaming you too.
Well, we're doing it voluntarily, so that's okay.
Mhm.
That Captain Finity and his time machine. I don't know about his.
Very iffy.
Well, yeah. What's going on over there? Would a pirate podcast be considered an ASMR?
Yes.
And Abby Normal. Abby someone. Abby Normal.
Abby Normal.
Let me show you something I read this week. I think I got it in 2025. But this is Bernie Miro's The Jam Urban Adventure, super cool, color injected turbo adventure from hell, #2. Back in the 80s, or maybe early 90s, he put out the first version of this. And the Jam is just this guy who likes to dress up like a superhero and go out and do nice things. So in this one, some guy was shot with an arrow. So he was out patrolling, which means he's hanging out on his roof. And he saw a guy with a bow and arrow, and he then figured out where the guy lived. He followed him home and told the cops. And then and the cops know him. The first cop threw him in jail. Then the cop who knows him was like, that guy's new. He doesn't know you. What's going on? And then there's sort of these dream or daydream sequences where he sees himself as a superhero fighting evil kind of thing. Those are just fun. They don't have anything to do with, except they're sort of whimsical and fun. And it was just a really cool. I really liked his the Jam series back in the day, and it also made me a little sad since Bernie Miro died. What was it, last year or the year before?
Yeah,
and I just I sort of get emotional reading some of the last stuff he did. Because though this one, I think, when did this come out originally? Oh, sort of 2015. Really good. If you like Bernie Miro, where's his name? Because it's spelled funny. Mireault. How come I don't see his name anywhere in here? There's his name. Up here. Bernie. I always thought it was Mirault. I had no idea. But it rhymes with zero. So it's Bernie Miro. So good. Another good thing from Bernie Miro. Excellent. Have you guys read much of his stuff?
No.
He didn't do a ton of things, but.
Right. Yeah. The only thing I have by him is him hinking Grendel.
Okay. Yeah, he drew, I think, 2 or 3 issues of Grendel. The Brian, I can't remember Brian's last name.
Brian Lee Sung.
Grendel stuff. That's where I first saw him, I think. And then I found The Jam, which I enjoyed for.
But The Jam published as like a regular 22-page comic?
Yeah, The Jam, yes. I think Caliber put some of it out, and maybe Kamiko.
The art style is so familiar, and that costume, I probably have an issue or 2 of it.
Yeah.
And I probably would have got it during the time that I was picking up like Michael Aldred type comics.
I think there was a Madman The Jam crossover even.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so it's possible that I might have gotten that book itself.
But it was really, really fun to read. Like I said, it makes me. I found it's really made me sad when some of these, like Bernie Miro, Joe Matt, and guys sort of that generation have died recently. I can't remember who else. There was maybe one other. I was like, because they were right around my age, maybe a few years older.
Right.
And I liked a lot of, I first got into their stuff in maybe the late 80s when they first started putting it out. Got the Caliber Jam, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff. I think they I think Dark Horse reprinted it in color. First was the Caliber Jam. Trivia: Madman Frank Einstein first appeared in what comic book? Ooh, I should know that, but I can't remember.
Did Dark Horse Comics present?
I have seen it enough. I don't think I have it, but I've seen it enough times on YouTube. People getting that, well, at least I used to see it. I haven't seen it in a while. People getting that issue and go, "Oh yeah, first appearance of Madman." But I can't remember what it was now.
Something by Tundra, I think.
Creatures of the Id #1. There we go. I knew it was something like I never knew that when I was first buying Madman, because I was buying Madman from the beginning, but not that beginning.
Right.
In the meantime, Captain Infinity added 20 pages to his book about his now called Time Travel Police.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
When it's ready, we want to see.
Let's see. Another thing I got this week was, of course, the latest issue of Love and Rockets. There's Maggie on the Jaime Hernandez side.
Mm-hmm.
And one of Beto's wrestlers, I think. I don't think she appears in this issue. And I actually like, they always have alternate covers, which you can get on the Fantagraphics website. I like those alternate covers, too. But I'll never order them from the website. Limited to 400 copies. And the first story is Jaime Hernandez. This right here are two old friends, and the guy with hair is Maggie, the lead character's husband. And they're just here swapping stories from when they were young. There they are as three young kids living in the neighborhood. Usually their stories are like in Hispanic neighborhoods in Los Angeles, kind of thing. Something I don't know anything about. But the story about when they're young, hanging out, the old people in the neighborhood, the other young people in the neighborhood, just what goes on in the day to day. And then it switches. Here's a story about them currently too, and so it switches back and forth between the old times and the good time, and then the new times. And then we get some more Fritz stories in the back from Beto. What's really weird in these ones is, where is it? Afterglow 2.0. For some reason, I don't know if this is one of the. They have boxes over the nudity. And that's not normal. Usually they just show us nudity. And sometimes you get stuff. So I think that might be one of her movies she was filming or something that's censored. But some more, I guess you'd call these Palomar stories. They're mostly about Fritz and her family. If you've read Love and Rockets, you know who they are. By the way, a little aside, since it just popped into my head. You know what internet phrase I hate?
Mm-hmm.
If you know, you know.
But don't you know?
I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yes, if I know, I know.
It annoys me.
Yes.
That's just somebody saying, ha ha, you don't know, and I'm not going to explain it.
Mm-hmm. Did Goblin. I find it sad because if the artists didn't have to live in poverty or close to it, their health probably wouldn't have failed them as soon. Yeah.
Yeah. That's part of it, yeah. Love and Rockets live from Radio City Music. Love and Rockets. More fun. Are Maggie and Hopi still going? There was no. You know what's weird about Love and Rockets? Because I didn't get to Love and Rockets till late. I think maybe, I don't know. I didn't start buying Love and Rockets regularly to maybe issue 30, maybe in the late 80s. I had friends who talked about it. And eventually, when I have, what's the name of it back there? The complete Love and Rockets, the Jaime Hernandez stories, which has all the Maggie and Hopi stuff in it. It amazed me that, because the story started out with Maggie and Hopi, and there were two young punk rock kids in Los Angeles in the early 80s. And like at art school, the punk rock girls really loved it. Like I knew a few punk rock girls who weren't big comic fans, but they were big Love and Rockets fans. And Maggie and Hopi were best friends when they were young. But it amazed me in reading that and realizing how quickly they sort of Maggie and Hopi kind of went their own separate ways into their own separate stories and didn't meet up again for like a decade. So it was like Maggie and Hopi were really only together for the first few years in their youth telling stories. And then they were just Maggie stories and Hopi stories. And they didn't cross over. And I was like, wow. I never realized that about Love and Rockets when I started reading it late, kind of. But and this one, and they're old now. This was our cute punk rock girl from the early 80s, and now she's, nearly 60, I think. She probably is 60. So it's really weird to that they aged it, because they could have kept me. He, because Gilbert's stuff is completely separate. Jaime could have if he had just kept telling stories about punk rock girl, 20-year-old punk rock girls, he probably could have kept that going and been even more popular. But no, he chose to separate them and have them. It's like he killed his own commercial appeal of the comic. I found that amazing. So no, Maggie and Hopi haven't been going for ages. At least they haven't been together. I think that he had them cross over like a couple of years ago. But it's like, it just amazed me. He killed the goose that laid the golden egg and then just kept going. Have you guys read much Love and Rockets?
No.
No, I'm aware of them just from being in comics and seeing the covers and enjoying what they look like and stuff like that. But
yes,
I just never really got into the books themselves. I don't even recall if I ever bought any.
Well, if you do, it's tough to get into as a comic, as a periodical, I should say, because you get pieces of stories. Their stories are really meant to be read in trades. They really are. I mean, they're not really writing periodical comics. Maybe Beto is more than Jaime, but I think if I were to recommend Love and Rockets to anyone, I'd say pick up the collected editions, like that oversized Love and Rockets from the beginning. Jaime stuff is really good, but like I'd have a hard time, unless you're a hardcore comics guy, I'd have a hard time recommend picking up an individual issue, just because they come out so infrequently, and you got to keep track of stuff in your head, and most people just don't. It's asking a lot, but it's good stuff. And like I always say, Jaime Hernandez is such a good storyteller. So is his brother, but he can do a story that's called The Death of Speedy, and I am shocked when Speedy dies. It's like, that's right. I'm like, Speedy dies? Oh my God. Oh, it's in the title.
Right.
But still, when it finally actually happened, I was just shocked.
I had plans a couple of years ago to try out Love and Rockets, but it was not financially feasible for me to try it out, so I didn't. And now I don't know when I'll be able to.
Yeah.
Because there's always something appealing about that art. Even if I know that it's a soap opera.
Yeah. And Beto's is especially I wouldn't even call it a soap opera. Soap opera has more structure than a Beto story. Like I said, it hit me a couple of years ago that the Beto Palomar and Luba stories is he just kind of creates all these characters, throws them into a pot and shakes them up. Like he just makes things happen to them. And there's not a lot of, not that I've noticed, there's not a lot of like structure to his stories. Things just happen and then more things happen. And then sometimes it builds into something big happening and then ends and then starts over again. But it's not like, man versus nature and man versus machine and stuff like that.
Yeah, I always meant to like pick up the trade paperback. And I'm almost sure I had it in my hands at Hanley's at some point.
Just pick up any of them.
And it was like, oh, I wanted to get into it, and I just never did.
Yeah, just next time you see one, pick it up and you can get like anyone. Okay. Either Beto, Jaime's stuff is prettier. I mean, I always say my favorite is whichever one I'm reading at the moment.
Right.
Because I like them both so much. But I think Jaime's stuff is prettier to me. And man, does he work on it. Because I got an Art of Jaime Hernandez book back there. And I've never seen any of his prelim stuff before I got that book. His finished stuff is like so pretty and perfect. He's one of these guys who can find the perfect line. And I always assumed that since he does it so well, it must like Alex Toth. It looks like it comes. Alex Toth at the end could draw, boom, 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 boom. But he does a lot of drawing to find that perfect line, and a lot of his actual prelims aren't that pretty. His finished stuff is pretty. It takes him a lot of work to go from his prelims to his finished stuff. That's why he's so slow. But he does it. He finds that line. What did Captain Finity say?
You find it interesting that it's still going in real time because he has a lot of the collected editions.
Right.
The collected editions, they don't repeat themselves in quite the same manner, do they?
They have different. I don't know how the collected editions. I was never able to figure it out how those collected editions were. They have some like the complete Love and Rockets by Jaime Hernandez. That's easy. They might be out of print now, but there's 2 big volumes that has everything. So you don't have to bother with which collected edition goes where, which I don't even think matters anyway, because they tell stories out of order sometimes in terms of time. And like with Beto's stuff, they have one big one called Luba, which has all some of the Luba stories, who is Fritz's mother. But I ended up figuring out which volumes were in there and getting the 3 volumes, because those ones were printed bigger than the Luba volume, which was a little shorter, and they were cheap. So sometimes they'll always tell you which stories are in which volume, so you can do it that way too. But I just say pick one up and read it. Don't even worry if it's the beginning, the middle, or because I think any individual volume is going to give you a whole story.
Talking about punk rock art school girls made me think of an old girlfriend. Sent you a photo from me. Let me check that.
Punk rock art school girls with a short skirt and a long jacket. That Cake song has been made into a meme on TikTok too.
Yeah.
Shorts.
Okay. Issue of US Magazine. Okay. All right. I'm not going to show that one though.
I got an art school girlfriend. Who sings that one? My tune's way off, but
I don't know.
There's an art school girlfriend song I have. And it breaks into this dissident stuff. The last thing I got this week was once again a terrible Rogue Sun cover. I just don't get these covers. I mean, this one, at least you can see the cat on.
Right.
It's not as dark as some. But this is the one with the guy. Matter of fact, there's a whole intro to it today, this issue. When Dylan's absent father, Marcus, was killed, Dylan learned that his father was the superhero Rogue's son and that he'd inherited this mantle. But when he tapped into the power of the Sunstone, Dylan discovered that he could see the ghost of his father, and the two will have to learn to work together to have any chance of stopping the supernatural threats coming for New Orleans. So that's the basic premise. And he's now got a sister who's also a rogue son. I think she's actually a half-sister from the estranged father's new family. But it's a solid superhero story. Issue 32. It's been a solid B all along, sometimes going up to a B+. So I've enjoyed it. You got to read some Bs.
Yeah. Saw someone post like the different types of comic book stories they are, and they were talking about that, some comic books are fillers, and then some comic books are arcs.
Right.
And then they were just going through the covers, and it's like, I can't argue with that. It kind of like the way it is. I found that to be interesting.
Right. He was like, I'm not saying they're good or bad, but arcs try to move the character and the story forward. Filler, just telling your story.
Yep. So
I always thought people who often use filler in a derogatory manner. So.
Yeah. And it's like, sometimes the artist needs a break, and there's a story there. And then sometimes, it's just something that they put out, and some of those I enjoy too, because there's something neat about, just a story contained in one book.
Yeah.
And it's like a day in the life of whichever character, and I tend to enjoy those as well.
So far, all these crisis events have been done in ones.
Yeah.
They do a great job of it. They're a little longer. I think you get 30 pages of story in one of those.
Oh, okay. So that's a good chunk of information from the books.
Yeah.
And since it's, one and done's, there's a lot of attractiveness to it.
Yeah.
And again, with arcs, when it stays within its own books, are fun.
Right.
The mega crises are where it just gets a little too nutty, and it's like, and I found that many of those, especially later in comics, mostly Marvel does this, is that, you have the event, then you have the events cross over into other books, and then you have mini-series of the events. And when you read them, you realize none of that was important. Just mainly the event title book is all you have to stay with. But it just seems like, and then have the after event be an event itself too. It's just, you could easily see how somebody can basically burn out on that.
You know what was weird about this assorted crisis events too? It's on this really light, uncoated paper. And like even in the beginning, I don't think it looks old because like the black plate is kind of it doesn't look like a rich black. It looks like an old-fashioned single black ink black. So it's not. I was kind of having a tough time reading it at first because it like didn't look right. So I wonder if that was a purposeful choice. They wanted it to look more like an old comic, even though they weren't like aging it or anything like that.
Right. It's just probably because it is uncoated, and they mechanically have to make it light because it could bleed through.
Sometimes they did use a lighter black plate on purpose, but even the like regular black plate on the first couple pages was like, whoa, that black plate is breaking up like an old-fashioned comic. I don't think they put color underneath it at all.
Right.
It's not a rich black. I thought that was interesting. Mm-hmm.
The last books I'll show is because, as I mentioned, I've been going through the books and moving things around, and I kind of want to do the idea that you have about keeping books by your printer, so you
Right.
can look at them. So the two books that I have are one that I bought recently and one that I've had already in my collection, is the 25th anniversary covers.
Ah.
Transformers I showed recently. This is one that I picked up when I went to that wedding a few months ago. So it's Transformers issue number 22 that has the cover. And then from my own collection that happened to be out is Web of Spider-Man issue number 20 with the same type. And it's like, I do like these covers. I don't know if I have them all. I may have most of them. So it's like before I go out and even attempt to buy them, I'm going to go through the collection and see if I have them all, and then maybe try to see how I would want to display them. Ideally, I would want to display them like we had them at Marvel, where they would be in those pockets on the wall.
Oh yeah.
I just don't remember what those pockets were, if they were just um something from like a 3-ring binder that had the sleeves
Yeah,
in it,
good
and then they
question. I don't
pasted
know.
them up. Because I almost vaguely remember they attached to each other. So I don't know if something like that even still exists. Because it's like, oh, I did like those covers, and I think it would be kind of neat to have them hanging up almost like a poster. And when I get tired of them, I could just pull them out of the sleeves and then just stick something else in them.
Right. You know what you should do too, much like my top of the printer. If you keep a couple of like short boxes out around you, just
Yeah.
put a couple of comics on top of them.
Ah, that's a good
So you
idea.
can
Yeah.
look down and see them. And then just, when you want to change next day, pull another one out of the box and put it on top.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got more than enough boxes. Because I know one of them I do plan to put all the blank covers that I bought over the years. So I'll
Yeah.
have them all in one place and go, oh, I want to work on one of the covers. I can just
Right.
pull it out, slap it on the desk, work on it, and then do that.
Where's some balloons? There we go. It's
There
almost
we go.
time to say goodbye. So there's some balloons for
Yes.
you.
Here we go.
Mhm. Okay,
Rich
next
Black
week we'll be on Jared's channel.
will be on my channel since StreamYard gave me a few more hours
Yeah,
There you go.
StreamYard.
in the
I
month.
think StreamYard finally understood that they were losing customers.
Oh,
By the
yeah.
way, you know how much money they want a month? $88
Huh.
for the pay one. I was like, it started out at like $8, but that was 5 years ago. But
And it's funny because every time we shut off from the show, I get another ad from them going, hey, do you want to do this? And it's like, no, not at all. I am not interested in doing that. And then they come out with the, hey, would you like AI to do this? No, I don't. Not at all.
Mhm. All right. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. Nice seeing Kyle again. We haven't talked in a while. But if you're watching us and you are not subscribed to Jared, please go subscribe to him so you can watch us next week. And we'll probably be back here on my channel in 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
So until then, keep reading comics.
We're doing every other week. So we'll be
Oh, yeah.
back here in 2 weeks and back on my channel in 1 week.
That's right.
Have a great